John's just retired from astronautics. He was one of the last men to make a moonwalk. John, are you all right, son? You're white as a sheet and you're trembling.
Nothing I can do. It's happening again. I'm changing. And in several seconds, we see before us a man-wolf. It runs through the darkness as it hunts its quarry. And that quarry is man. The mark of the man-wolf. A man-wolf.
Hello, welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast. This season we're talking about Marvel's #2 lycanthrope, John Jameson, a.k.a. the Moonrot Manwolf, a.k.a. Old Lobo, the Furry Freak, Night Brute, Fang Snout. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
And I'm Jacob Balcom.
And without any ado, I'm going to have Jacob go ahead and introduce our very special guest. Please go take it away, Jacob.
Yeah, we're joined by a writer and all-around great guy, comic historian, Joe Keatinge.
Whoa. Thank you for having me, y'all. I'm
Thank you.
extremely excited to talk about this comic book with you.
Yeah, no, we can't wait. And I hope Brian and Rob aren't thinking that we're going to try and poach every one of their musical guests now from Marvel by the Month. Because, I mean, we might, but, you know, we had to start with you because, you know, I'm a big fan of your work. I love your take on comic history every time that you've been on Marvel by the Month, which I think you've been on like 90 episodes.
90
or something. I think that's the exact number.
Almost at episode 100. Going for it.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I as a fan, I'm really excited that you're on. So I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit at the top of the show about your career. So the thing that we had talked a little bit before the show, I met you at a signing. You had given me the first 2 issues of Shudder, which I had never heard of or read, and I read them and was just hooked. I just loved it. I loved it so much, and ended up getting every single issue. A month or 2 ago, I had them bound and made a little video of the unboxing from Hushin Bindery, and it turned out really good. But I wanted to bind those because the letters pages were really great, and you and Layla had such good recommendations, like for books and comics and movies, and there were even a couple Andrew J. Shaw letters in there too, which were really fun.
The pride of any Image Comics writer from the late 90s and early 2000s.
That's not our Andrew Shaw, right? Or from Australia?
No, it's not. And it's funny because I think David Harper from Off Panel and Sketched, I think he did an article on Andrew J. Shaw, and he was trying to find him and ended up finding our friend Andrew Shaw, who is in Melbourne, and being like, "Are you this guy?" And he's like, "No, I'm totally not." like he doesn't speak for all Andrew Shaws. So the
moment I got one of those in one of my earlier books, maybe Glory, I was just like, "This is it. I've made it." You've got arrived. A really angry letter from Andrew J. or just insulting letter from Andrew J. Shaw. I took it as a moment. There's people who don't know what we're talking about. It's this guy who's been writing the Image books specifically, or maybe other comics. I just know amongst Image people, he's really well known. So I don't know if he's outside of it, but anyway, writes a lot of Image books. And they're always the most cutting letters. Even when if he does give you a compliment, it is either at your expense for something else you've done or something that someone else has done. It's never a straight compliment.
No, and it's always confusingly angry.
Yeah, I love it.
It's
so
I do
beautiful.
Too. It
is.
The
worst thing you could do is put something out and no one cares. But to have someone like hate it that much, like, oh, dude, and consistently,
yeah.
I love it.
You need a Moriarty. You got to have a Moriarty.
You do. Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's why I wanted to get them bound, because I love the single issue experience with Shudder was so great, getting it month after month. And so it was the first modern comic that I've had bound.
Okay, I have a question now. I'm sorry I have to jump in here. So
do.
Joe, you seem like a great guy.
Oh, thank you.
But you're one of those people that dumps on us trade guys. You keep cool back matter out of the like Brubaker does with Criminal and stuff.
Oh yeah. Because I love these things.
From
I love trade paperbacks.
I stab at thee.
I love I don't know if people will see this on the video, but you guys see this, like I've got trades. I've got single issues, but single issues I think are the best format for these things. And it's not a nostalgia thing. I just think from a storytelling point of view, and for this comic that we're going to read today, we'll talk about it in more detail later. But if you were however old, and you were 12, and you were sick, and someone gave you this comic, and this was all, it would feel like a relic from another reality.
Totally.
And I don't know that you get that with
In
the
a trade.
paperback.
No.
And I love trades. I got hardcovers, I got trade paperbacks, I got whatever. They're all great. But I love single issues.
No, I'm with
totally
you.
fair. Bendis could have made this issue 12 issues.
Yeah. this would have been a nice trade, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, Jacob, please continue.
So I wanted to. It's so funny. Two of your comics that I've loaned to people and turned people on to the most is Shudder and Ringside. We'll talk about Ringside in a minute, but with Shudder, I always tried to give the elevator pitch for it, and I would go back and forth between describing it as like a jaded Johnny Quest or a darker version of Rusty Venture. It was like, and I didn't know which one. I would kind of go back and forth on that, but which one of those do you think is closest?
Jaded Johnny Quest. I mean, really, so. It's Jaded Tintin. But
yeah, well, that's true. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's also just like, I mean, it's the most autobiographical thing I've ever written.
Really?
Sounds wild, but like, and I don't even think I realized it at the time. It was someone recently we were talking about stuff that we worked on. Like, I feel like you can go into work having some sort of like, oh, this is what I'm writing about. So, but then you go back and you're like, oh, like Shudder is about my life from 26 till about 33. Like that's what
wow.
it is. And it's also just about how, comics are awesome in a way, I mean, I don't like comics about comics, but it's still like, that was sort of I would say a lodestar, for us with that book. But it means a lot to hear you liked it that much, especially.
Yeah, no, the singles were great. It was one of the things that I looked forward to most in my box, and yeah, I found that I'm really just talking about Shudder and Ringside mainly, but I found that your books are really easy to give to people that don't read comics, and it turns them into comics people. I've had this happen multiple times, mainly, I mean, with Shudder as well, but mainly with Ringside, which I truly loved, but I would give it to people who were friends of mine who were big wrestling fans. And I'd just be like, oh, you're a wrestling fan. Here's this crime comic that happens around wrestling. So yeah, check this out. And they would love it, and it would turn them into comics people. And so I was just like, well, that's the Lord's work right there. Like but it really, I don't know. I felt like your stuff more than other people's, when I would turn people onto it, it would kind of change. It would introduce them to the medium, and then they would stay with that medium.
Thank you. That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Matt, if you haven't read Ringside, it's really great.
No, as we were saying before we start recording, I just, you've been telling me how much of a fan you are of Joe's work, and a friend loaned me a stack of Shudder trades, and I dug in last night. I think I should do some homework, and was absolutely blown away. I intended to read one issue and read 3 or 4 in one sitting, and I can't believe how great it is, and the art is out of this world, stunning stuff as well.
You just read the first 3 issues
in one sitting, yeah.
First trade? Yeah. Okay, so the team we have is insane, because it's Layla's first major work, Layla Del Duca. Anyway, Owen Jenny was a colorist. And the first 6 issues are lettered by Ed Brisson, which is great. But then we have John Workman comes in from issues 7 through 30. Yes, wow. Walt Simonson Thor, heavy metal John Workman letters the book.
John Workman.
And not only Shudder pretty autobiographical, but a lot of it became like my Chris Farley show with John Workman. Like, what's the coolest sound effects? Like, we need a doom here. We need a double page spread doom. That kind of thing. So.
Yeah, Layla's art is just out of this world on Shudder. I mean, and of course she's gotten, all of the stuff. I'm a big fan of hers too. I've gotten pretty much everything that she's done. But yeah, there's something just so alive about her work on Shudder that I don't know. It made me lifetime fans of
the
both.
two of you together on Shudder. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm going to praise you, so you're cool.
Sure.
Yeah, the marrying of the imagery with the pacing of the story and the narrative. There's something alchemical going on in Shudder so far that's just like, it seems transcendent to me.
Thank you.
Just of my exposure. Yeah, love it.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
there's like notes of Black Science in it, but have you read Black Science?
I've read the first I love Rick. He's a great dude. And I've read the first 3 issues, but that's just because I'm really behind on comics. They came out after 2000.
just in that kind of like high adventure, like you were saying, like Johnny Quest, Venture Brothers, kind of like that family, that kind of whatever, like the history of like being adventurers. But yours, I mean, they're vastly different works. I'm not trying to compare them; they're polar opposites. Sure. But like, just I felt like that immediate kind of sense of like, okay, I understand what this premise is, and was just floored by the adventure you guys took me on visually and narratively. It page one, it's banging and it never stops, never lets up in a great way.
Thank you guys. It's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, so I really hope our listeners will check out your work. And then I mean, but you wrote a great Morbius limited series from Marvel. You've worked you've written a ton of great shit that people should definitely check out. But no, the ones that are closest to my heart definitely were Shudder and Ringside. So I'm really happy to have you on the show because I'm just such a big fan.
Oh, pleasure to be here, guys. I love talking about werewolves. So this will be awesome.
Yeah. So on that note, so we're talking about Man Wolf this season, but we started out with and it's the name of our show is Werewolf by Night podcast. Right. So how familiar with Jack Russell with Werewolf by Night were you?
Not very, which is very strange for me because 70s, like I call like the Marvel grindhouse sort of end of 70s Marvel is my absolute favorite stuff. I've got a full run of Master of Kung Fu, full run of Son of Satan, full run of Warlock, full run. I mean, a lot of that stuff I absolutely love. Like, and not to knock any of the superhero stuff, a lot of brilliant stuff in the superhero end, but I just love weird Marvel like Conan, the weird Marvel sci-fi horror kung fu, like all of that stuff. Basically, if it could have been filmed and shown on 42nd Street in 1976, like that's a comic book for me.
Yeah.
Like if you read it and you're like, this feels wrong, like I shouldn't have this in my house. I will say though, Werewolf by Night is kind of a blind spot for me. I have a few issues of it. I think it's actually one of the best logos of the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Great logo.
I don't know who designed that one, but they knocked it out. So yeah, it's definitely a something I'm looking to rectify is my familiarity with Jack Russell because I love everything that's orbited. Ghost Rider, I mean, all that stuff is super up my alley.
It flirted with greatness a lot.
Yes.
we found like the art will line up or the writing will be really cool or there'll be an interesting thread that doesn't get explored. It's just like it never really was. I feel like it never really became a perfect book in the way that some of the other Bronze Age stuff did. But we love it.
But that makes that tracks a lot with me because a lot of the stuff in the Marvel in the 70s, it's like Jack's gone, at least for the first half. The market is tanking. People don't seem to like superhero comics that much anymore. Distribution's always been wild, but distribution's wild. And so let's just try anything that works. Oh, also the comics code is loosening. So all that stuff we couldn't do for so long, we could actually do some of that again.
Oh yeah.
And so like Tomb of Dracula, Son of Satan, that kind of like the stuff that exists at all is wild. So, there was a lot of, we have Marvel Premiere is a great example of this. Like you have 2 issues to make this work. And if it works, then great, we can do some more with it. And if it doesn't, then you're out of luck, or Marvel Spotlight or something like that,
Yeah.
But then even books like completely changing course halfway through, but then sometimes it works out. And then, like Master of Kung Fu totally took over the anthology title it was a part of. So, but it's a brilliant, beautiful time. And any opportunity I have to sing the praises of 70s grindhouse Marvel, I will gladly accept that invitation.
Yeah, I feel like I used to kind of in the 80s and 90s kind of, or 80s probably mostly, kind of write it off as like, it's 70s cheeseball stuff. But, I think that what you're saying is like there was a magical blend of like, how do we get Evel Knievel in here? How do we get Kung Fu movies from, 42nd in here? Like, how do we get, they all got to get in here somehow, man. We got to get people buying these things. And so there was no quality control as far as like, that's not a really good idea because that's really racist or that's really, like going to be dated by the time this hits the stands.
It was 1970s New York. They weren't even thinking about that. You know what I mean? Like, and you're right though. No one was paying attention. Like Steve Gerber had some crazy deal where you could essentially just like, he would just turn in Howard the Duck.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, that's what the way it did eventually. But like, he was just turning it in. There was
because
no one
it sold, right? That was part of his
because
deal.
it sold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it was just such a Wild West period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was just trying to make things work in a really weird market. Like the story I love is that so Master Kung Fu was doing well, I think. Was that out yet? Tomb of Dracula definitely was doing really well. And they're like, all right, well, we should do another horror book. Maybe it's the Mark of Satan. And I believe it was Roy Thomas was like, Stan, we're not going to do a book starring Satan. And he's like, all right, well, it's his son. He hates him. All right, son of Satan. Excelsior, And it's just like, can you imagine? And then just did it.
Yeah, they just did it.
It's just like this, this term outlaw comics gets run around a lot lately. And a lot of times, sometimes it's very applicable, but it really felt that way. Like, at least in retrospect,
Well, and in the books that we're paying most attention to, which are the monster books of the early Bronze Age, it's just no one was paying attention.
Yeah.
Like they just could do whatever they wanted to do.
And it was brilliant.
It was so brilliant. And that's what we found with this series, with this season with Man-Wolf, is just when Kraft comes on and when and even earlier, like they're just able to do whatever the hell they want, especially when David Kraft comes on, which we've become a huge fan of his. So what was your familiarity with Man-Wolf before reading this issue? Well,
it's weird because it was both kind of non-existent, but also very early on in my life when I was like a toddler. I had one of those Fisher-Price record players. And I had I had the Spider-Man record that has like a blue background and he's swinging. But then I also had the one that was like the Mark of the Man-Wolf, and it came with the comic book and like read the comic book to you. So I was thinking about this earlier. Like, I think I also had a VHS tape of the Spider-Man cartoon. But my point is, at least in print, I'm fairly sure that that Man-Wolf issue is one of the first actual comic books I had, the Spider-Man comic books I had. So it's one of the earliest introductions I've had to a character was Man-Wolf. But again, I don't know what it is. I love the Capwolf stuff later on, the Mark Gruenwald one, but otherwise my knowledge of Marvel's werewolf society is pretty limited. And it's a great joy to have that rectified by reading this issue. I'm so stoked.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, well, it was difficult to kind of find these werewolf comics. There were trades, but mainly it was just the essentials for the longest time, like the Werewolf by Night. I mean, you could really just find them in the essentials, and I mean, you could track down the back issues, but again, that didn't sell great. So, yeah. But as for Man-Wolf, I think we had kind of similar experiences. I know, Matt, you had the Power Records set when you were a little kid. And I had the Marvel Tales issue that reprinted Man-Wolf's first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man. So yeah, it was a character I think that also for both of us was really early in our reading. But then, at least for me, I know Matt kind of followed up and kept on going with his appearances. But yeah, going into the season for me, it was I had a lot of kind of nostalgia from a very early age about the character, but then just didn't really have any more exposure until we started doing this season. But I've loved it.
Yeah, that's one of the brilliant things about Marvel Comics as a narrative construct, that it's so complex that you're like, oh yeah, J. Jonah Jameson has the son of the werewolf. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll check that out. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much to explore. Just like, oh, all right, I'll get to that.
True.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's so great. But yeah, we love Bronze Age weirdness, and yeah, we call it Bronze Age weirdness, but I think Marvel Grindhouse is just as accurate of a descriptor. So yeah,
again, one of my arguments for single issue comics is that, like, if you have the single issue, especially with like Son of Satan, there are some weird ads in those comics. There's some ads where you're like, oh, children should not be seeing this,
Yeah.
Like there's ads for like Nazi paraphernalia. This is not an exaggeration.
Yep. I forgot about those.
And you're just like, what? But again, in 70s New York, the publishing's weird. I mean, or you had comics like Human Fly, which allegedly had mob connections. Like, I don't know, man. It was a wild time. And so having the actual issue, I feel like it enhances some of that magic.
I totally agree.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, gents, should we just jump in?
Yes.
Yeah, let's roll.
So we've got a bit of an odd time warp here because the last issue that we saw Man-Wolf which was a cliffhanger, was Creatures on the Loose 37, which was published with a cover date of September 75. And this is Marvel Premiere featuring Man-Wolf, and this was December 78. So a full 3 years later. Which creates some interesting time paradoxes, by the way, at some point here and there. But yeah, and like you were saying, Joe, like Marvel Spotlight, those were tryout books, and Premiere started as a tryout book, but by this point in its run towards the end, it was a dumping ground for inventory books that they'd already paid somebody for and they had no intention of printing. So that's exactly what this is. So this probably sat in a shelf for a couple of years.
Yeah.
They'd already paid them to do this back then, and Creatures on the Loose got the axe. That being said, this cover, which probably graces some collections, is epically huge. It's by George Perez, and it's got inks by Bob McLeod. And this book, Kraft took this over when this was a science werewolf knockoff, Universal / Hammer horror book, and now we have a worm's eye view from a strange planet looking up at the Man-Wolf holding a mighty sword aloft. He has chainmail on, full like Flash Gordon kind of armor outfit. And behind him, there are other warriors mounting winged horses, but the horses have like brontosaurus heads. And there's just a shirtless guy back there holding a staff and floating stuff. And there's purple zipatone in the background. And we are not in Kansas anymore. This could not be any clearer. He finally lost his radiation suit that he's had for 5 years, wearing his little underwear. Now he has his own gear on. So it says Swords and Sorcery Beyond the Stars. So big gear shift here, genre-wise. And at the bottom it says Man-Wolf is back, savagely fighting the Otherwar. One word, Otherwar.
I mean, it's just it's as big of a departure as I think it gets. I mean, Joe, I wanted your opinion on this, and maybe we can talk about it later on too. Sure. But as far as like weird pivots in the Bronze Age, like going from just John Jameson kind of having crazy werewolf adventures, and then it suddenly, we saw in the last 2 issues of Creatures on the Loose. It's setting up this whole story. So Kraft was really working towards this kind of werewolf Flash Gordon thing for a while. And I'm trying to think of a stranger pivot or a stranger combination in this time at Marvel. I know we got weird shit. I know Howard the Duck's done some really cool meta shit. I know we have Omega the Unknown. There's weird stuff going on, but I have to say this gets my vote as the weirdest.
I mean, I haven't read the comics before this. Again, it's a rare blind spot for me. But, based off what you've said, I mean, I had a familiarity with Man-Wolf, and when you guys were like, "Yeah, what do you want to read?" or "What issues do you want to read?" and I looked up this issue, I was like, "I gotta know what's going on." Because this is
cover works.
The cover works. The cover works.
Oh, and man.
It just is not something I ever thought about with Man-Wolf. Like, if you're like, describe Man-Wolf for me, I probably would describe it. It's like, that's like the second string kind of science adventure, but really like, not Hammer horror, but like, Universal horror kind of stuff, But then you see this and you're like, it's the coolest like side of a van painting I've ever seen in my life. I was like, this is incredible. So I don't know, man. I think I'm with you. This is certainly one of the weirder ones.
Oh, it is, and it's just so funny. I mean, because we've talked a little bit about this in previous episodes, but there was a really long interview with David Kraft, to where he talks about that he says that he had this storyline idea like from a novel he tried to write in high school. And I was just like, so wait, is the fantasy element is from high school, or did you didn't have a werewolf in this? like, because he kind of is retrofitting a story. He talks about, he gives the origin of the Moonstone that originally was created by, I don't know, Roy Thomas, and so I think he's he's kind of retrofitting his own fantasy story that he had written as a teenager into this werewolf comic. And he's been working towards this. Like there's been hints dropped. He introduced all these characters in the last 2 issues of Creatures on the Loose. And it's such a wild ride. And I kind of don't understand why it was canceled in a lot of ways, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, this is the end of 78. Like monsters are kind of on their way out. Like the monster books are being canceled basically. And superheroes are kind of on the rise again. And, you know, Conan's been selling like gangbusters forever. And so I would think that this kind of pivot, that Stan would have eaten this up, you know, but I mean, he's not really there anymore at this point.
I don't think he's paying attention.
No, he's not paying attention at all, but I would just think that this would be right up, you know, Marvel's alley. But I also feel like, you know, we're entering the Shooter era, I think.
Yeah, Shooter was an editor on this, so we should.
Yeah, Shooter's the editor-in-chief on this. So yeah, I think that maybe if Kraft had done the pivot a little earlier, maybe we could have gotten more of this Sword and Sandals werewolf epic.
That's a really interesting point. If it was a little earlier or even a little later, right? Like when was Sword of the Atom? That was kind of a similar
1, 2.
So I mean, like, I don't know if they had done this like as a mini series alongside of Sword of the Atom, you know, maybe that would work. You know, but even that was so Sword of the Atom. For those who don't know, it's a fantasy book starring the Atom. DC's the Atom. But like, it kind of makes sense, right? Because you're like, all right, well, it can shrink down. So what if he just kept shrinking? Mm-hmm. This is just like, what? Like the werewolf, like Flash Gordon now? Like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
You know?
So,
and I'm there for comics swinging at the fences, man. Like more, I want more of this.
Yeah.
And I don't mean I want people doing their werewolves in space comic. I want people being like, what's the thing that I've wanted to do since high school that I don't think I can get away with? I'm going to try to get away with it in 2 issues of Marvel Commit.
I want both, but I'm with you. So Jacob, now that you remind me that this was based on a high school thing, this is kind of like his derivative John Carter of Mars thing, like a portal on the moon to another world, and you're the savior. It's very kind of derivative of Burroughs, right? Is that
but so much was though.
I know.
You know,
no, I'm not. I'm saying that cramming it into a werewolf story is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, for sure.
That is a sheet of acid brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Should we just jump in? I mean, we all love this cover.
I just want to one note before we move in. This is actually pretty bittersweet for me because I knew that this was, you know, having context. I know that this was a canceled book that was just being plugged in 3 years after the fact, and looking at this gorgeous art, this big, huge narrative shift here. Like, this is meant to be this triumphant, you know, screaming guitar solo, heralding in this new, weird, wild, like you said, Van mural story. And in reality, it's a death knell. It's like, it's already done. And what could have been a couple years of really fun storytelling are just crammed into 32 pages, 32 pages,
I think.
Over the 2 issues.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, like, so we're going to get orange juice concentrate here of storytelling.
You know what, though? I will say, at no time did I feel confused.
Yeah,
I knew everyone, who everyone was. I was like, I got it. Like, going into this comic, just what's extremely clear to listeners, I had no idea who anyone was besides Man Wolf.
Okay, yeah. I have some questions for you then, but we'll approach them as we'll cross that bridge, that space.
All right, right on. But I'm just saying, I was thinking about, okay, so I'm a kid, 1978. I've got the flu. Someone gives me this comic. Like, what's your take on it? And I would have been like, this is the most brilliant thing ever. And unfortunately, I would have been like, I hope there's 100 more issues of this.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
that's exactly how we feel. So yeah, let's jump in. So our opening page. Well, let's get our creators out of the way. So our creators for this issue are David Kraft Story, George Perez, and Frank Giacoia Pictures. We have Diana Albers Letters, Carl Gafford Colors, Roger Stern is the book's editor, and Jim Shooter is editor-in-chief. So there's a couple names or new names for this show, or at least a name we haven't seen in a long time, which is Frank Giacoia. We last saw him in Werewolf by Night. He inked I don't know, 10 covers with of Gil Kane's pencils, and he's, we love Frank Giacoia.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, he's been working steady since the 40s. And he's kind of showing signs of slowing down at this point. I think this month he's credited with inks on this issue and the cover of Amazing Spider-Man 187 and Power Man 54. He's inking both of those over Keith Pollard pencils. But yeah, Frank Giacoia has had a crazy great career, just working for every company and doing amazing stuff. So I'm glad we got to see him for 2 more issues. I don't think we've seen Carl Gafford before. I was looking him up. He was a teenage comic fan who had his own fanzine in the late 60s called Minotaur. And it just seemed like one of those, I don't know, I love those kids in the 60s and early 70s that had that mimeographed, fanzines. Like I have the utmost respect for those guys.
Well, a lot of them took over comics.
Exactly.
Like Paul Levitt, especially,
Yeah.
He was one of the guys later on, Kurt Busiek, and,
Oh, yeah.
Roy Thomas, obviously, of that era. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, those fanzines guys are so great.
Diana Albers, I'm not familiar with, but I thought there was some really cool lettering stuff going on in this issue.
Yeah, so she's fairly new at Marvel at this point. She's only lettered a few issues before this one, but I think she had started in the production office and then had kind of moved up to letters. And yeah, she does a great job in this.
So, not to linger on the logo thing too much, but like, why would they bother to do this awesome redesign? So, Joe, the previous Creatures on the Loose Man-Wolf logo, man was just a very blocky, generic man, but then wolf looked like it was hairy. It's kind of cool, but this is rad. Like this is
so
like,
good.
Like,
Could you imagine seeing that on a record cover?
I know.
Oh my God!
Be
Yeah.
like, my favorite band is Man-Wolf. This is incredible.
So why would they make a cool new logo and pay somebody to do that when
Gotta sell books, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's already a
worked.
struggle.
It worked.
Yeah,
I've got an inventory issue. I mean, sure, and they did a lot of slapping together, but like, you gotta get these things to sell, man.
Such a good logo.
It's a brilliant logo.
Yeah, it's funny though, because I mean, when I was a little kid in the 80s reading comics, like I loved Marvel Fanfare. But then when I realized, I'm just like, oh, Marvel Fanfare was just a fucking dumping ground for inventory shit for the most part.
In the 80s?
Was that dumping ground?
Marvel Fanfare wasn't a dumping ground.
I thought that was a direct market prestige book, no?
Yeah, it was on Baxter paper,
but
wasn't it?
but what about that stuff that Plug did that was kind of canceled, the Elf Questy thing, and then there was
Weird
that,
World.
Weird World, and then there was that story that I forget who did it. It was the Hulk where every page was a splash page.
Oh yeah,
and that was an issue that had been pulled and that kind of was pushed into there.
There was some stuff that went like the Bear Windsor Smith stuff and the Mazzucchelli Angel stuff. I mean, there was a lot of stuff, and like my impression, of course, it wasn't at Marvel at the time. It was 10 or whatever, but like Marvel Fanfare was like, oh, that's like the good stuff. Like that's like
that was my impression as well.
Agree. Oh, I love
10
it as
pages
well.
by like someone you wouldn't get 10 pages from otherwise was Marvel Fanfare.
Yeah.
So you're right. Maybe dumping ground is the wrong words, but I know there was a lot of inventory shit that ended up.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Marvel used every part of the buffalo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't. Nothing.
I mean, and that was what was so great about Fanfare is they're like, no, this is a prestige thing. We make it on really nice paper. It's a direct market thing, and yeah, half of it is inventory stories.
Okay, fair enough.
You don't know that 5-year-old kid.
Yeah, I mean, the first one I bought was the one that had Daredevil on the cover, like swinging above traffic. I forget which one it is, but it had this story that was like just Peter Parker bored out of his mind on like a Saturday night. He's like, I can't believe there's no fucking crime happening in Manhattan right now. And he's just like webbing little statues in his house and just like hanging upside down. It's like, you can't do this. Like, I know you can do this in indie comics, but you can't do this in Marvel Comics. You can't have a superhero bored and just like killing time in his apartment. That's why I always thought it was like, I thought this was like the stuff for older kids, or like the more discerning reader was like you were like, you can't do this in like the main titles.
Yeah.
Which is what I loved about it.
Yeah.
No, me too. I mean, I still have all my original issues that I got as a kid. Like that's something I've absolutely held on to because I loved it so much. But Yeah, so back to Marvel Premiere, which yeah, at this point was 100% a dumping ground for inventory shit. And so in this first page, we kind of so there's three panels. There are smaller panels on the left side that are zooming in on the spaceship that crashed on the moon at the end of Creatures on the Loose 37. And we know what happened at the end of that issue is that John, just being flat out close to the moon, had just changed into his werewolf form. And, you know, like Matt and I, one of our favorite things is that when John or Jack Russell would change into the werewolf while they're driving some sort of vehicle and then be like, oh, fuck, I'm a werewolf. I don't know how to drive. I don't know how to do this stuff. And then they crash immediately. And so that's what happened. And so we see in the rest of the illustration of the issue is the fully changed man wolf, glowing moonstone, standing over the three characters that we actually met in the last two issues, which are the wonderfully named Garth, Lambert, and Gorjun. And yeah, they are passed out, and Man-Wolf is standing over them, growling and glowing with the moonstone. So it's a really cool opening page. The narration's really great, but you know, like you said, Joe, it really sets up a new reader. Like you definitely didn't need to have read any of the Creatures on the Loose issues.
And I was just, you know, I mean, going in blind. I mean, again, I guess I do have like, okay, I know who John Jameson is, you know, and I get it. He's a werewolf. He's on the moon. All right, that's pretty clever. Now he's a werewolf again. Like, all right,
yeah,
you know, understood.
Yeah,
it's and brilliant. That was, I mean, you know, I don't know what the timeline is in terms of like, because this was an inventory issue, so. But that was a big thing in the shooter era. Was like you have a page to reel them in. Mm-hmm. In fact, you have that box later on top to reel them in that like told what the origin was.
Well, it has to be everyone's first comic.
Yep.
Yeah. And this actually follows that edict pretty well, and it doesn't seem to shoehorn in a bunch of backstory or anything, but it obviously
does it very
can
well.
Oh, it's so well. Like, yeah, Kraft does such a good job at it.
What were his other edicts besides that? It could be anyone's first issue, and I'm a Green Lantern guy named Starbrand. What was his like other edict?
I mean, I don't know entirely, but he was. I mean, I think Shooter gets a bad rap, man.
Me too.
I maybe part of it is I was of the right age that they were aiming for. I mean, when Secret Wars was coming out, I was the target demographic for Mattel. You know,
would you say? Sorry. Would you say there's an argument to be made that he kind of saved Marvel in the early to mid 80s, like sales wise? Like,
I don't think it's an argument. I think it's factual.
It's a fact. You think?
I think it's a fact too.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I think Jim Shooter's do a lot of credit that he's denied for various stupid reasons.
No, I do too. And Matt and I have talked about this. And I think it's also because we're, of the same age. I think we're just a few years older than you, and that we were little kids in the Shooter era, and I get like, Secret Wars, I understand why people don't like it, and I understand why people do like it, and that it totally made a ton of money for Marvel. But I think he gets a bad rap because he also allowed really cool shit to be done. Like he let a crazy horseman take over Thor. He did. He let Jean Grey. He said that Jean Grey had to die. I mean, he did. He made all these big swings possible. I know he was a difficult guy. Yeah. I know that guys like Jerry Conway and Roy Thomas and
I don't think being a difficult guy in an editor-in-chief role is a bad thing.
I don't know.
I have many unpopular opinions, my friends, and going with that 100%. Well, not 100%, but pretty close to it. For Jim Shooter is one of them. Like, I think there's a lot to be said for the books that were coming out of that period of time. And maybe it was by people who were doing it in spite of him. But you know what? If it was, it worked.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it might have been, the fact that Jerry and whoever else who had an issue with him were kind of like, we kind of had the run of the place in the 70s. Nobody's looking over our shoulder. Nobody was asking for synopses, months ahead of time. And now this guy's coming in and running like a business. What the fuck?
And look, I love 70s Marvel. If I had to choose which one I could go back and have work for, it'd be 70s Marvel.
Yeah.
But if I was an investor of, Cadence at the time or wherever, I would have been, a big fan of Jim Shooter. And again, it worked for me. There were a lot of initiatives. Stan was trying to get stuff going in Hollywood. I mean, they got some stuff going, like the Hulk show, obviously, and Spider-Man show, and Doctor Strange pilot, which I love.
I love it too.
But Shooter really helped. I mean, that Mattel deal over Secret Wars, I think that does not get enough credit.
I know.
And, people will take panels of Secret Wars and be like, oh, it's so dumb. They're over-explaining their powers. Yeah, dude, because this is targeted for 7-year-olds who are playing with these toys. That's who this is not Watchmen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a deconstruction of the genre. This is, we're trying to sell toys and turn around this company.
Yeah. We're giving a bunch of kids their first dose of heroin right here, okay?
Yeah. And you know what? As a kid at that time, it sure worked on me.
Yeah, it did.
Worked on me too. Yeah.
That Mike Zeck cover that's like, infinitely reproduced. Like, I was entranced. I bought everything I could find after that cover. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Those guys screaming, charging at me. I was like, I'm all about this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that, we talk about the Wild West outlaw nature of Marvel Comics at this point, but the flip side of that is that anyone that tried to be the editor-in-chief left after like 6 months or a year because it was so impossible.
Yeah, sheriffs don't last long.
No, and it was impossible to wrangle all these insane maniacs,
Think about Shooter. I don't understand why, but he had two things. He had a mind for business and he knew comics. Dude working in the industry since he was 13.
Yeah, like professionally.
So, right. And so I think he knew how to talk creator. And I don't think I think, I'm sure people could be like, well, what about this guy? But I think Shooter really knew how to talk creator.
That makes sense, right? I mean, Conway's a great writer, but I don't think he should be driving the writer bus, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I never thought of it that way.
And that's why Conway was editor for 10 days.
Sorry.
9 months.
Shooter could also talk business. Like I'm sure he was the guy in the meeting with Mattel when they were like, we've done all this market. That's my understanding. Was Mattel came to them and said, we've done all this market research and we found that the terms, the 2 words that boys respond to most are secret and wars.
Yep.
That's not a joke. That's totally what my understanding was.
I'm laughing because I love the realness.
And so they're like, do a thing called Secret Wars and we will fund it. And they funded it. And they sold a bunch of toys and the comic is still in print.
Every kid I knew, like I was born in the mid-70s, every kid I knew had the Doc Ock and the black suit Spider-Man from that thing. Like, even if they didn't like comics, like you had to have those 2 things if you were going to be a boy in the 80s.
No, absolutely. I really wonder how much of a hot take it is anymore to praise Jim Shooter a little bit. I don't
think he gets enough credit. I don't
think
know
he
what
does either. But I feel like people are starting to come around at least to just be like, he's not a monster. Like, he actually did really cool shit. I know he had big time disagreements with a lot of the creators that we love, but in hindsight, he did a lot of amazing things for the company.
Yeah, but what was the work those creators made in that friction?
Yeah, exactly.
Frank Miller's Daredevil, Fantastic Four by John Byrne.
Yeah. The greatest
Punisher
stuff.
miniseries.
Yeah.
That was a
stuff
game
that
changer
people
for
are
me
still
as well.
ripping off today.
Yeah.
It's like, was it that bad of a guy? He got that work out of you, did he?
Yeah.
No,
I'm with
you.
you.
I love Jim Shooter.
Yeah. No, we're all in agreement on that one.
Right on. So page 1.
Yeah.
I love this, man. This is like, honestly, man, my favorite episodes are the ones where we're just like barely hanging on to the narrative by a thread. This is what I love, man.
I won't lie, Joe. I knew this was how it was going to go down, and that's why I was most excited to bring you on, because I'm like, oh, this guy can not only go toe to toe with us on insane tangents about comic history, but you're the real expert here. So I'm excited you're here to kind of reel us in a little bit.
I'm the grasshopper for sure. I do love Kraft's clever little turn of phrase here, made a singularly unfortunate choice of pilot, because if you were reading last issue 3 years ago,
3 years,
you saw John Jameson screaming wildly, turning into a moon beast and then crashing into the moon's surface. So that was funny to me.
It is funny. Yeah. So Kraft at this point, Yeah, he never did a ton of stuff. I mean, I think his Defenders run is about done. Maybe it has a little bit more to go. But
Oh, wait, when did
yeah.
Defenders start?
Well, I mean, Defenders have been going for, since. I mean, I thought he was writing some of Defenders stuff while he was writing Creatures on the Loose. Those last issues.
Oh, I thought he went to Defenders after Creatures on the Loose got axed. I don't.
Well,
I've never read.
Have, but remember, Matt, 3 years. 3 years have passed between Creatures on the Loose 37. I know. Yeah, okay. I need to go through and read. I started reading that, and I really dug it, and I want to read it more for the Blue Oyster Cult references than anything else. But yeah, I need to go back to that, because yeah, I mean, Kraft didn't have a ton of credits compared to a lot of other guys, and by the 80s, he had kind of focused more on his Comics Interview magazine, which I loved. I mean, God, it's great. I mean, he really did such a service to fans with that. Like, I have a lot of those issues, and it's so good.
I'm so glad you brought up Comics Interview, man. I really feel like it's one of those seminal, early comics journal. I mean, just really sharp. That Amazing Heroes, like all those 80s Comics Interview Comics Interview lowercase magazines, but Comics Interview uppercase is absolutely brilliant. And they're actually, I think it was 6 years ago, they reprinted a bunch of them in like a 2-volume thing.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, and if you can score those, I mean, if you can score the single issues, by all means, do it. But it's really cool. Like, I went on a big Alan Moore kick a few years ago of not even reading his comics, but reading his interviews. And a lot of the best stuff was actually from Comics Interview. They did a Watchmen special, and they did a couple other things, and it was really cool to see.
I think creators really dug Kraft. Like, he just seems like a cool guy. He kind of seems like this, he was kind of a biker hippie, like outlaw at Marvel.
I wish I could have known him. I mean,
Agreed. Yeah, he sounded like such a cool guy, and passed away just last year from COVID, sadly. But such a cool guy, and I'm a huge fan of Comic Interview magazine. But yeah, at this point we just get these 2 Marvel premiere issues finishing out his Man-Wolf story. So I feel blessed to have that. I feel like we're lucky to at least have this closure on the character.
So before we flip to the next page, I love this big J panel here where he's standing over the unconscious his new allies, roaring at them, because what do you do when you're a savage man-wolf? You just roar at everything. And I love the Kirby crackle, like shit's all busted up. He's just got, energy spewing behind him. And he's looking at those guys like you go on a camping trip with your buddies and they've passed out like at 11 because they started hitting the whiskey like at noon. Like, get up, motherfuckers. I don't know. That just made me laugh.
Matt, like you were like we talked about the last couple episodes, Kraft had introduced this thing that however full the moon was, that had a correlation to the Man-Wolf's power, and now he's on the fucking moon.
Yes.
So this is him at his most unhinged. Like he has not been more werewolf than this by this point. So yeah. This is
a big complaint about the Jack Russell werewolf was that he was a little too strong. It came up in a lot of letters columns and stuff. Just he couldn't beat up 3 normal guys. And we've gotten a lot of the opposite side of the spectrum with Man-Wolf. Like, I mean, here we get to see him just on the next page go up and just grab a half-foot thick steel door and just tear it off, claring. He is full Hulk, and he just jumps out. He doesn't need weighted boots. It's the moon. He doesn't care. He's just stomping around the moon. He runs up into a crater. He's drawn by something. His gemstone's glowing. He could feel something drawing him, and he jumps into a crater and sees a little, very humble portal, just a cave.
Yeah, this is a great second page, and I mean I'm really digging Perez and his layouts, and especially that panel on the left, the really really tall one. Is just, God, it's so cool of him just kind of looking back towards the earth, and Kraft's narration is pretty good. Sometimes we had a problem, and not a problem with his stuff, but sometimes his writing was a little uneven. But I actually think that by this point in his Man-Wolf writing. This is the best we get of him, honestly.
Yeah, it feels pretty flawless. I mean, like in terms of like I'm never confused. You know, I think from a craft level, like, okay, I get who everyone is on page 1, and then on page 2, I get really do a full explanation about why can this guy. Wow, that werewolf is tearing up this door. That's pretty crazy. He can survive on a moon. Oh, well, it's because of this weird stone, and the weird stone's coursing energies. Man-Wolf feels like, all right, cool. Like, you're answering the questions I need to know.
Yep.
Let's just party, man. Let's just get right into it. Oh, there's a crazy doorway. Well, let's find out what's in there.
Let's go through.
You know?
You're totally right. Yeah, I love this. This issue is such a fucking delight.
Jacob, I did note that as Man-Wolf is tearing towards this crater, being called to this doorway, there's lots of sets of footprints there, which I thought that was interesting. Because we find out what this portal was and who came through it. I don't know. I just thought this was weird. Some of the stuff wasn't fully explained, which doesn't matter. I like mystery. You know, we're Lynch fans, so I don't need to have everything explained to me. But I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I had noticed that maybe the second or third time I read through, it was just like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I'm guessing it's because what we'll find out later is that Garth, Gorjun, and Lambert came through the portal seeking him, right? So it's their evidence. Okay,
definitely. Yeah. So on the next page, the narration reads: deep within the cave, a brilliant glow beckons him invitingly, draws him onward through the dark, like a moth darting into a flame, like a wolf returning to the fold. And so he's walking through this door that's filled with red light and plug plasma and kind of weird Kirby crackle, and emerges on the other side into this room filled. The first thing I noticed, I was just like, oh, this is a room that's filled with busts and relief of the Man-Wolf.
Yep.
Like, he's walking into a room and he's just like, oh shit, I'm on the wall.
I'm the star.
I'm on that pillar. And so, yeah, he walks into a room decorated with images of himself. But the biggest thing for the character and for this book is that he has his faculties back while he's in wolf form. And so he says, well, I can think again. I'm still the Man-Wolf, but I'm me as well. Yet how? And so this is a big revelation for him. But God, that panel, aside from all the different, Man-Wolf, depictions on the walls, we're introduced to 3 space barbarians immediately that are amazing. And there's a woman with purple hair and looks like a grappling hook for a hand.
She's like that 90s Aquaman. Remember that guy who wrote that run? Peter David?
Peter David,
yeah. And she says, bark, Sashil, he's come. After 3 years of vigilance, the savior has come. Praise Star God. And just what a fucking awesome panel.
You guys ever listen to that band Hawkwind?
Oh,
of course. Yeah. Lemmy's first band.
I just feel like you just hear this blaring through the, it just feels like it's pouring off the page.
God, yes. Hawkwind LP should have come with this comic book.
Yeah. Can you imagine Hawkwind Man-Wolf? That'd be such a great album. Oh, my.
Oh, you're totally right. Oh, yeah. That would be great. But no, I love everything about this page, especially that panel. Like, my God, we're just thrown into this world, into this other world, and it's great. Everything about it is great.
I particularly love the winky, like after 3 years of vigilantly waiting for our savior to return.
That's funny.
Yeah, which I don't know if that was an update that he's snuck in there.
That's funny. I did not pick up on that, Matt. That's really funny.
Because it's 3 years and 2 months since we saw him.
Kraft hasn't been counting at all.
Nope.
Could you imagine those? Like, you grew up, you love comics so much, you get to run a Marvel comic, something, you do whatever you want. You're like, oh, I could finally incorporate this thing from high school. This is my time. And then right before you do it, they're like, sorry, bud, we're pulling the book.
God. Listen, champ, we have to have a talk. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Joe, in the last episode, we read David Kraft's letter explaining like, hey guys, we got axed, but here's what the idea was. And it's this long thing saying like the whole arc. And he's like, there was going to be this floating castle over a living sea and these, like he gets really into it. And like we had a guest on last episode. And he's just like, holy shit, man, if there's no living sea in this, I'm going to be pissed. Yeah. But I'm totally with you. Like he had to just scale this back, at least to the scope, right? Just because there isn't the room. But it's still cool.
Yeah.
Oh, still very cool.
And there's a guy named Bark and a lady named Sashil. And she has headgear on that has a man-wolf logo. Like he has his own logo as a god.
There's a lot of branding going on. I mean, they're fans. They're obviously fans.
Yeah. So on the next page, we get to see this guy Bark, and we get the first indication that something's kind of off with the man-wolf because he's not speaking. He's telepathically communicating with people.
Right.
So he says, where is this place? How did I get here? He asks Bark with a Q. And he's startled to find that he has a quote-unquote voice. And then he's surprised by the response of everyone. They all just start bowing to him and like, worshiping him. And he's like, huh? Get up. All I want are some answers. And they said, well, we kneel to honor the return of the star god as the faithful should. And he grabs Bark. He says, don't talk. Well, psychically says, don't talk riddles at me. What's going on here? Who are you people anyway? And the redhead Sashil's like, okay, can this be? He wears the stone, but he knows not where he is or even that Bark is mute. He does not seem a god to me. And so he's, confused as we are, like, wait, what the hell is going on? And then his companions have awoken and come through the portal, and they're saying, Garth of, I love that we get expanded identities for these people. This could have been so cool, man. Just 2 more years of this. Yeah. I, Garth of Mornhelm, and the wizard Lambert and Gorjun. And they're all like taking off their spacesuits. They're saying, we've brought you a savior, Sashil. He just doesn't know it yet. So listen up to Blondie Beast. And there's a very Kirby drawing of Garth the hunter saying, centuries ago, the star god who ruled over the other realm grew old and weak. To spare this world his decay, he opened this portal to your moon, and there he went to die. I was really drawn to this concept of like a dying god. First of all, dying gods is I'm a myth geek. So the fact that like gods cannot be immortal is fascinating. And then like the idea of like retiring to another place to not have people, see you die and lose that faith is fascinating to me.
Yeah, what a cool beginning to the story. I mean, it just goes on the next page. But yeah, this is, I was really glad that I liked the 3 characters that we had met previously. I'm so glad they came through the portal as well. And then, yeah, they just disrobe. They're just like, no, we don't need our spacesuits. We don't need clothes really anymore because we're in Conan now. So we just need our tunics and our loincloths.
I think Garth was meant to have his chainmail under his spacesuit, but the colorist didn't realize that wasn't chest hair. He's not David Hasselhoff. It's actually chainmail. But that's cool. I like the sexy. I was not, I dig it, man. No, I'm not opposed.
Yeah, we're not opposed to that at all. Yeah. So, I mean, God, on the next page, I mean, I'm just going to have to read some of this. I mean, I'm going to try to summarize, but my God, this is the whole story just laid out.
It doesn't feel forced.
So, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of exposition here, but it doesn't, you're not like, all right, come on. It does. He scales up really well. Like, all right, so we're in a spaceship. You guys are okay. There's power because of stone. Okay, there's a door. Okay, in the door there's this place. Okay, like it has this cadence to it that is so sharp. And again, it is technically exposition, but it doesn't feel like I'm being given a lecture. Yeah, right.
It's not vomiting.
No, not at all. No, he's just, Kraft does such an amazing job at pacing and having this be someone's first issue. And so, Matt, like you said, this god went through the portal to die. Garth is saying, but he left behind his essence in the form of the Godstone. You found and activated it. And John's like, but the stone turned me into a mindless monster. Gar says, because the radiations that leaked through the moon portal from this world were so weak, the change was only partial. You gained the strength and primal fury, but not the wisdom or power. Here, though, you are complete. You are Star God. So I love that he's really putting this fantasy story again and using everything that was already, canon with Manwolf, and he's just masterfully adding it and explaining like what that moonstone was. It was obviously it was a god's essence. Like obviously that's what it was the entire time. But he does such a great job with it.
There was a lot more there, right? I mean, I love when one piece of data changes, one element shifts, and everything looks completely different. I'm totally down with that.
I can speak of unpopular opinions. I really feel like this is when you are working in something in a narrative construct like Marvel or DC. I really feel like this is the way to do it. Okay, there's this history that existed before. You can recognize the history, but and I've written some stuff that, like, I wrote a Superman thing that was pretty referential stuff in the past. So fair enough. That's the argument against what I'm about to say. But they took stuff that existed in the past and did something entirely new with it, right? So the character was still the character. The elements were still the elements. It didn't betray the past necessarily. Like Simonson Store is another great example of this. It didn't negate everything that came before, but it added to it in such a way that you're like, oh, this is you are adding to this. It's additive, not just nostalgic or just regurgitating.
No, I love that. It's not Norman Osborn boning Gwen Stacy in the background. It's
right.
Actually adding in some layers to it that's not just exploitative.
And it's not adding or revising the past. It's like adding to the future of what
this thing can be. Yes, perfect.
I mean, all three of us, I don't think it's a coincidence, have the reaction to this. Like, oh, I could do there could be 2 more years of this.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way as you do, Joe. There, like I was just my previous notes for the last page were saying, why is there no Star God Untold Tales, or why hasn't Doctor Strange found his skeleton like buried in this cave on the moon and reanimated him or something? Like, there's a lot of this crazy Bronze Age stuff. Like, there's just like there was so many coals in the fire, and like things people could have. You don't have to make something whole cloth. You can just come read this old stuff and just be like, this would be fun for a lark. Let's just take this and run with it.
Well, maybe at Marvel Phase 11, Kevin Feige has exploited everything else. They'll be like, all right, Star God, we're doing it.
I'm into Star God, man.
Back, baby, on the big screen.
Yep. Forget Thanos. Forget Annihilus. Star God is everything.
All right, so in the middle row, Lambert kind of... Are we calling him Lambert or Lambert? I kind of want to call him Lambert, but have we decided on that, Matt?
Does France exist in the other realm?
Like Christopher Lambert, not like Lambert the sheepish lion.
When he first announced himself, we said, I'm sure it's Lambert, but I'm just going to say Lambert because I'm lazy.
All right, let's stick with it. Let's go continuity here, and we'll Lambert kind of takes over the story at this point. He says, the texts say that in evil times, our own God would be reborn to save us. That is why we sought the stone, for the shadow of the false god Arisen Turk has fallen over the realm. So, Joe, at this point, we've been introduced to a really creepy guy on Earth who's named Harrison Turk, who has kidnapped John's girlfriend and
fiance.
Fiance. Yes. Sorry, and has, you'll find. Yeah, we get to that, I think, on the next page. But yeah, so it's so cool. I really want to believe that he has planned this all along, and I think that's true because in the Defenders run, Turk is this weird godlike figure, right? He's so this is I love
lunatic.
That's right, lunatic
with a K.
That's right. So so cool that he's back. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, this really does read like a comic written by a man who's thought about this for a long time. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like he's making this up on the fly necessarily. I feel like this is a guy who's really thought this thing through.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I don't know. Kraft, his writing seems really freewheeling and crazy, and he's a
Yeah,
hippie biker, but there's a lot of thought that really did go into it. I mean, there's a lot of his writing is wild and also methodical at the same time. His storytelling is like he's
yeah,
really crafted a story here.
yeah. Yeah, well, it's like you mentioned earlier, right? Like this was an idea for a novel he had in high school.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's got like notebooks, filled with like with living sea kind of stuff that, we never saw,
Yeah.
Um,
Scorched, peaches,
right.
full of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. And so, okay. Yeah. So, and I think we find out that I think that's Dura, right? So Dura has the purple hair and Sashil is the redhead, correct? I think is what we find out later on.
Oh, is she named? I never even noticed her name.
Yeah, I think she's named later on as Dura.
Oh, okay.
And she says, and talking to the man wolf, and you have been reborn to lead us into battle against Eris and Turk. And he says, well, I came to help, but your hand. He's noticing her grappling hook hand. She says, a reminder of Turk's torture chamber, savior. I lost my hand and my father in that place, and now I live for the false one's death. So,
he's a serviceman. He knows not to bring up prosthetics. Just
yeah,
like,
I know.
Maybe that's like we've all served. What happened to you, man? What's your story? Mine's Da Nang.
Yeah, no, they're in the VFW basically right now.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and so Lambert, I love this. So there's like a little chamber he goes into and says, if you decide to aid us in our cause, you will be served well by this, the sacred sword of Star God. It has rested here 1,000 years. And then hands it over to him. And Manuel's like, I'll do it. And there's that last panel is so awesome.
Yeah.
Like it's just of him handing the sword over. There's the great like silhouette, but it's colored all red and yellow as of Manwolf's face.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's like the bat signal, right? It's like it should be spinning out.
I love seeing works. So like George Perez, obviously a master of the form, right? But not yet.
Not yet.
He's young and he's hungry and he's got a lot to prove. And I love those comics so much.
Yeah.
And I feel this is a great example of one of those comics.
Yeah.
Where like a guy who will become an absolute master of the form is trying to prove that he's got what it takes to hang. And they've been given this Man Wolf comic, like I'm gonna do the best job I can do with it, and he just kills.
We've seen some amazing stuff the last few issues from him in his earliest work, and there've been several 2-page spreads where you can see him just honing that craft.
Yeah, and it's really cool, and I just keep going back to I think it was an interview that he did. I don't know if it was right after Kraft died or not, but Perez had talked about how the stories that he did with Kraft he still considers to be like the most wild of his career, like that they're so out there. That and even I mean this was probably an interview just from a couple of years ago, and he still considers these stories to be like the most batshit that he's ever worked on.
I'll tell you, boys, I've read a lot of Marvel comics, and I've read a lot of 70s Marvel comics. This is easily one of the most wild 70s Marvel comics I've read.
Yep, totally agreed.
So let's get real for 1 second. Okay, we keep it honest and positive here, but Jacob, were you not a little disappointed that this was called the sacred sword of Star God, not like Stormbringer, like Michael Moorcock, or like Sting from like Tolkien? It's just called the Sword of the Star God.
Yeah, I did think about it. I was just like, I could have had a cooler name, but I don't know. Maybe he's just going for that streamlined storytelling.
Eris and Turk. Yeah, this is a weird place.
It's a weird place. You're right.
And I'm into like again the hints of mystery, like this whole like the Star God reduced himself to the gemstone. The weird stone is the god's essence. Yeah. That's like Twin Peaks. That's like the little pearls and the return.
Yep.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Are we ready for a jarring turn back to Earth?
Yes, please.
Back to Craven's. Was this Craven's place or Eris and Turk's place?
I think it was Turk's place that that he had hired Craven to take Jonah and Christine too.
Okay. So we are back there. Christine has been kidnapped by Harrison Turk and cleverly renamed. And they're at the last place they knew that he was using as a base of operations. And there's a very chill Simon Stroud. This guy, Joe, you should have seen this guy in the last 5 or 6 issues. He is like, what do we say was like the guy from Venture Brothers? What's his name?
Yeah, he's Brock Sampson on bath salts.
He's just like screaming constantly, and he has grenades on his belt, and he's just full action man constantly. And here he's very mellow.
He is. This is a weird turn for Stroud.
Yeah,
I have to say.
Very weird. And so they're looking around for clues, and the guy's saying, "Hey, man, your shield blue suits aren't going to find anything, and why don't you take Jonah back home?" And I have a question here. I see this a lot in comics. I have my entire life. The normal New York cops saying, "Nothing back here, Lieutenant," and they spell it Lootenant. But that's how we say lieutenant in America.
It's true.
In England, they say lieutenant. That's cool. I respect that. But is there an accent that I'm not hearing, like an East Coast lieutenant?
It's a New York cop.
He's a New York cop.
Wahlberg?
1970s.
He's a Wahlberg.
Well, they're Bostonian, but you know what I mean.
True. Yes.
Simon Stroud's just being really thoughtful, and he's like, "Hey, look, Jameson." He puts his arm around Jonah, and he's like, "Hey, I don't need your crummy sympathy, Stroud. What's the use?" And then again, like probably 5 consecutive issues, we see J. Jonah Jameson cry. Says John's on a dangerous space fight, and Christine's in the hands of some maniac who claims he's God, and I've got to find her. And please don't tell Spider-Man I cried.
I know, right?
So Simon puts his arm around him and walks him out. This is like the antithesis of who this guy is. He's like, "We'll find her. She's got to be somewhere." I hope they hang out, like go upstate and fish and just drink scotch and like smoke cigars and just like, you know what? It's just nice to get away from the whole, rat race.
Well, they've been through a lot together. They've screamed at each other a lot in the last like 7 or 8 issues.
Bloody horse.
They have.
And so he walks him out, and he looks up. Stroud looks up, or he's just kind of talking as we see the moon in the background. He says, "I mean, they can't just vanish off the face of the earth," referring to Harrison Turk and Christine Saunders, John's missing fiancée. So yeah,
that's the moon in the background, because that's where they're going.
Yep.
That's actually great storytelling, though, because it also transitions you to the next page, which is on the moon. Rather through the portal that's on the moon.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so cool. I would honestly think, I mean, not to go back to Shooter, but I would honestly think that Shooter would read this issue and just be like, "This is a perfect issue. It's everything that he wants."
Shooterian.
I don't know if he thought that, but I sure did.
Yeah. All right. So, and God, I really like this this next page as well. So, we see Man-Wolf in his full like Otherworld gear, and in the middle, and this is like the first
trading
2/3
card.
of the it's he's in his trading card
MVP
pose.
Man.
Yeah. But we see him, so he's totally got all of his armor on. So he has his sword. Lambert's saying that your armor is of an age with your sword, Man-Wolf. It will serve you well. And so he's got this killer armor on that still fits the character model color wise. That's all still staying strong. He has a bow, a badass quiver of arrows slung across his shoulder. He's got sweet-ass gauntlets adorned with rubies, a knife strapped to his thigh, super cool boots. And then, it's kind of a cool layout. I don't know if it seemed to me clunky at first, but I also kind of liked it.
Yeah, at first it didn't work because I went down and then over and down, and then I realized reading the text above Man-Wolf's head that you're supposed to go left, right, like normal left, right.
Yeah.
When they list everybody off. So it had this weird effect of being like, he's always in the middle. So your eyes always hit him. When you hit everybody who's apprising his new look, you constantly are presented with the Man-Wolf. Like your eyes have to cross over him. So it's like Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, like just those weird jump cuts of like people at the party just saying random shit. And it's like, yeah, but it's Ronnie Z-Man Barzell, man. He's always in the middle of those jump cuts.
Well put.
Very well put, Matt.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's another example of, again, Perez is a guy who's becoming one of the best, and but he's not there yet. But he's swinging at the fences, and so it's a little messy. But it's a big swing, and I love those, man. I think those pages are great. So
yeah, mechanically, this did not work for me the first time I read it, and then when I read it the second time, I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. He's getting there. Yeah. He's getting there. Not quite there.
Yeah, I had the same thing. It didn't work for me at first, but then second time through, I actually loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it totally worked and really resonated with me. And then, I mean, it just gets cooler on the last two panels because they're going. It says, "We must hurry. Turk cannot know you are here in this world yet. That gives us an added element of surprise. Only one question from this quarter then, as Spam was saying, how are you proposing we get to this war?" And then they come out of this cave to this herd of winged, I don't know, horse, dragon, brontosaurus. Like, it's just the craziest shit. And of course, his coolest line is, "We fly, of course." And I'm just getting ready to go on these guys. God, it's cool.
I love that one has a feedback on. I don't know why that little note, like that touch was so cool. They're getting ready, man.
Yeah, they're preparing. They are ready to go.
I just love this like weird little kind of like Partridge Family roll call here, like we were saying with those upper things, like, the wizard, the hunter, the doubter, the mute, the fighter, and the acolyte.
That was so cool.
And they, I gotta say though, I love this look for Manwolf. I wish this had stuck around longer. I mean, I wish the whole thing had stuck around longer, but it doesn't last very long. Like, it's like a tight T-shirt in a what T-shirt contest or something like that. Like it's made to be taken off for dramatic effect.
Guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Ohatmu, this is the look for Manwolf, right? Like
this is his Ohatmu illustration. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I mean, if you're going official handbook, then yeah, this is what I remember that being.
Yeah. No, this is like if you Google Manwolf, like the Spider-Man cover comes up first in Google image search, and then this image is like the second most common one.
It's so badass. Why would it not be?
Yeah. No,
yeah, I mean, if all you saw was this image of Manwolf in full armor, it's like I want to read that right now. What is it?
Yeah. So I just need a 2-year subscription, right? I mean, exactly. Where do I send my check?
Here's my $30 or whatever it was back then for a 2-year subscription.
Take all my money.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, and what a cool D&D party. I don't role play at all. I'm just a video game guy, but like just look at this motley crew of people.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to play a campaign with these folks.
It's a great campaign, yeah. The thing I keep thinking about when I watch this, and I kind of mentioned the Hawkwind thing, but like I really want to listen to this album. I really want to listen to the prog rock concept album of this,
Jacob.
Yeah. Yep. No, but Joe, I think you're right. This isn't King Crimson. This is Hawkwind. Like this is this is King Crimson, of course, who I love. But they're a little too highbrow. Like this needs to be down and dirty. Lemmy is taking tons of acid, and I mean, I think that fits best.
So I have a question here on our next page. We get this like fun kind of fish out of water sequence here, where like Manwolf's trying to figure out these strange beasts, and they're all strapping up to go and attack. And so we're definitely identifying with the Manwolf, who is new to this world as we are. And the psychic communication continues. So he said telepathic. He says, wait a minute, flying horses? All I ever rode before were motorcycles and rockets. At this point, I was like, okay, why did they make the artistic decision to not have him speak? Is it because when Jack Russell got the power of speech when they were trying to transition him into a superhero that it seemed way too goofy? Do you think, Jacob?
I think from reading Kraft's interviews about when he wanted to take on Manwolf, he really kind of ripped on Werewolf by Night. He was just like, I don't want to fucking do Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
And so I really think that a lot of his decisions were him just going the exact opposite of Jack Russell. And so I think that, and I was thinking about this too, Joe, we normally have a drinking game where these werewolf tropes that came up in Werewolf by Night, they would come up again and again, and we would end up, having to take drinks. None of that happens in this issue. It's like, and I think that's a deliberate thing of Kraft just being like, no, I hated that shit. Like, he did not like Werewolf by Night.
No,
he did not like and the weird tropes that would come up, like, oh, someone would see Jack and be like, oh, it's a guy in a costume, or someone would be right close to the werewolf and not realize he's a werewolf, or Jack would forget that it's a full moon all of a sudden, and all these these tropes just kept coming up again and again, and so we just started drinking.
Yeah,
and
laziness.
Because of laziness and drunkenness, and so
their laziness.
Yes, but
our drunkenness.
Perfect. But but I really noticed that in reading this, because I don't know, maybe I like to drink, but I'm like, where are we going to drink in this issue? And I'm like, there are none of those. None of those tropes exist.
Nobody.
You don't need it, man. You're already flying high with the
You're right.
Four-color fantasy of Man-Wolf.
Yeah,
just
it's like the Doors and bass, man.
Yeah.
When you're flying high with the Doors, you don't need bass. So yeah, okay. So I was really hung up on that. Like, I think he's doing an anti-werewolf thing. Like, first of all, he's God here, so he's a god. He can communicate however he wants. But I do like some of these little, like, just fun. This big 80s, like, again, fish out of water, like buddy cop comedy things. Like, in a more peaceful time, Lambert says, you'll have to explain to me what a motorcycle is. Like, oh, that's cute, But for now, merely hold tight. Your steed will know best. So he's just like, okay. And they all take off and fly out of this crater. And sure enough, they are soaring over this strange world. And there's like these broken mountains that are just floating. And he's like, good Lord, we were on a flying mountain. And Garth says, calling on yourself already, Star God? Which I think is also funny, right?
It's funny.
Our world functions on a higher spatio-temporal plane than your own. More things are possible here than you've ever dreamed, which is like totally like the Dune trailers, right? Like, in a world beyond imagination or whatever.
Yeah.
Like everything does not work here.
Yeah, there's a few sentences in this comic that I believe were taken verbatim from his 16-year-old, novel that he had written, and that's one of them. That's a sentence.
If that was actually written, I would love to read it.
I know,
right? So at this point, at the end of this page, they're soaring above the planet, and there's floating mountains around them, and they are zooming in towards war. Enough to war.
Yeah. I gotta say, I mean, we're over halfway through, and I just love this comic so much. Everything about it I love.
Well, again, it just scales up.
Yeah, every page.
Every page gets cooler than the last.
Yep.
All the way to the last page of I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, he escalates it very well. And again, it doesn't seem too much. It feels like a steady rise.
It's a manual transmission. He's doing this right.
Yeah. So on the next page, as they fly off to war, Sashiel says, Garth, this is madness. If he is the god, why must we fly? Where are his powers? Why does he not act? So I like that that her role in this is just kind of, she is the doubter. Mm-hmm. And she's the one that's just like, we've been waiting for this guy for 3 years. Why isn't he just destroying everything? Why isn't he just, acting like a god? But it's so cool. It's setting this pace. Now, the coloring in that panel is pretty strange on that second row, the middle panel.
I'm sorry.
It's kind of garbage,
right?
Garbage
that's coloring. It pulled me out of the whole thing. Like,
what are you guys looking at? Are you guys looking at the single issue, or are you looking at like a trade, or what are you looking at?
We're looking at the modern. So I'm looking at the collected this thing, and he's looking at Marvel Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you guys,
is it scanned?
We normally would compare the
it
main
looks
issues.
really good because they're riffing on it. Is it super pink in the?
It is flesh toned.
Oh no!
You see it?
Yeah. See, in the single issue, it's like a pink highlight that's sort of like it looks like it's like the glow of the
the gemstone like reflecting on his... Oh.
Yeah, no, this is one of those. Yeah, I mean, we've run into this before when we did the Werewolf by Night run.
Recolors.
We would have the original issues and the recolors comparing.
Well, I gotta say, so I've always, having worked in the industry long enough, I just feel like you really get like, oh, people had a weekend to do this, or they had no resources to do it, or they didn't. So I like to use the term misguided a little bit, like they probably, or misdirected, right? They probably, I mean, I don't know if they got the original single issues. I don't know if they thought like, well, you need to actually saturate it a little bit, because if you saturate it a bit, that'll take, like, when people were coloring for the single issue, they were taking into account the colors are going to saturate a certain amount. You know, the printer is going to gum it up a little bit or whatever. And so it would be laid down in such a way that they knew what would happen in the printing process. When you color it just flat color, it doesn't take any of that stuff into account, and it just doesn't translate that well, you know? So if they were looking at this, if you're looking at the, you know, the single issue, it works, in my opinion, because I feel like it's reacting to the glow of the gem, whereas what you showed me, it just looks like they colored them flesh colored.
That would be amazing if that were the effect.
But because, you know, Matt, I agree, that was the only point in this issue that did kind of pull me out. And you're right, misguided coloring probably. But yeah, I mean, we get right back into it, and they are, you know, they're going to war. And in that panel we were just talking about, John's like, watch out, something's ahead. I thought you said we were going to surprise him. And then they see the enemy approach that Lambert calls Turk's cavalry of the damned, soulless beings animated to do his bidding. So,
cool.
Yeah. So cool. Oh my God, it is. It's like, I had a hard time kind of figuring out how to describe these guys. So it's an army of like skull-faced warriors on kind of like skull-faced horses, and the horses have like dragonfly wings, kind of, I guess. But yeah, how would you describe them, Matt?
They look like Beta Ray Bill horses with dragonfly wings.
Yeah, definitely. And so yeah, they are totally falling down on our company, and one of them, you know, fires that first shot of a flaming arrow and says, "Fall, blasphemers," and this big zang as the arrow goes out. That's one of my favorite panels of the whole issue. Like, just the lettering is so badass, the colors are great, everything about it I loved. Or just that whole thing. And then even the next one, when you know, Manwolf comes down and smacks one of them with his sword and says, "No way, skull face." Then we get a big kadam. It's like, that panel also was definitely up there for me. And then Garth calls the beginning of the war, says, fight for the sake of the realm. And yeah, we've leveled up again.
So the Skullface thing, I don't know if that's Kraft being, I mean, he loves Robert E. Howard, but Robert E. Howard had this character that was his own version of Fu Manchu, called Skullface, that was even more insidious and evil than Fu Manchu, and he was like dated back to, I think, like the Atlantis. So I wonder if this was a little wink towards that character or not. I don't know.
Could be.
He'd been reprinted. His stories have been collected and reprinted in like the early 70s. So he was kind of having a Conan Cole resurgence.
Yeah. With those Frazetta covers and everything.
Yes. I love the, yes.
Lancer editions, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. I have those.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Nice.
They're super rad. I was just thinking, man, especially when you get to the double page spread, like if you were 8 and you just turn on television and this was on Saturday morning, you would just be like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
You know, like in another world, Manwolf is like one of the, to use a term I'm not a huge fan of, like one of the hottest intellectual properties that Netflix is still exploiting. You know what I mean?
Totally.
No, I mean, in a better world, I mean, Manwolf should have just been equal to He-Man in the early 80s. There should have been tons of action figures and a fucking play set and like all that stuff. Like, that's what this character deserves.
Well, I keep vacillating between like, I wish we had like a what was that production company called that did like He-Man?
Filmation.
I feel like we should have like a Filmation or Thundercats level version / like that Disney's John Carter movie, which was, horribly underrated, in my opinion. I love that John Carter movie.
That was so good with
It was really good.
Is it Taylor Sheridan? Was it
Yes.
Yeah, or not Taylor Sheridan. What's his name?
Taylor
Schill?
No.
Schilling? No. Fuck, what is...
Taylor Sheridan is Yellowstone. I know who you're talking about. The guy who was on Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
That guy.
That movie
so good.
should have been a franchise starter. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not a big franchise guy, but I love that movie.
I'm not a big franchise guy either, but I'll tell you, like, I do wonder if it's similar to this, where just like you just got the timing just wrong.
Yep.
Because I left Carter, right? It was just called Carter, something like or just called John Carter.
John Carter, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I just left that, and I was like, this is the beginning of something amazing. Like, I was like, I cannot wait to watch the next 8 of these. And there were none.
I've had this theory for a while that there was this around 2012, right? That was when that was 2013. There was this huge like backlash to these big budget franchise tentpole things, to where people like critics and I think even the fan base were just kind of hoping things would fail. Like I remember when Conan, which I didn't hate the Jason Momoa Conan. I thought there was some interesting parts to it. It had a lot it could have done better, but like I remember like reading this article about how like people were waiting until 11:59, like film critics and bloggers, to see what the ticket sales were on the first night, Thursday, to put their flag in the ground and say failure. This tanked. It's dead on arrival. Like John Carter was the same way, in my opinion. Like people wanted it to fail for some weird reason, and there's been this kind of slow, not with Conan, but with John Carter. Like people were like, no, this was actually awesome, and you all got this wrong. Yeah. Conan, I rewatched Conan. I didn't like it as much the second time around, but yeah, I feel like that was just a weird cultural pushback thing. But then Marvel steamrolled us. So now we're going to watch movies about app creators and CEOs or superheroes for the rest of our lives in cinemaplexes.
That's right.
That's my one negative thing.
Well, let's transition that to one of the coolest double page spreads I've ever seen.
Yep.
So the dialogue just says, "Behold, the first skirmish on the road to Armageddon."
Yes,
that is the best song. Like again, Hawkwind was blaring that.
Yep.
It writes itself at this
unicorns
point.
Are flying around. Like these are amazing.
And there's no way to really. I mean, this should be on the side of a van, literally. Yeah. Like, it's these heroes on these winged beasts attacking the enemies on these other winged beasts, and they've done that thing which used to bug me when I was a kid. Like I hated when G.I. Joe would have like lasers so that there was no lethal action, or when everybody was a robot. So you could shoot them, but there was no, whatever. But like, I mean, these are literally animated undead. So this is more to me like Harryhausen, like, you know what I mean? Like this is an army of the undead. So I don't mind when they just resurrect these things and you get to see them just destroy the stuff.
Well, plus it's like, these skull demon warriors, like that's just awesome.
Yeah, it's not like some crappy just robots like
like
droids. Like
cool.
these are scary things made by a very evil force. So we get to see Manwolf beheading some of them, and they're we have this like kind of Sashiel. Is that how you're saying her name? It's kind of like a Red Sonja kind of clone. I mean, I kind of want to buy this issue just to like take the staples out and pull this out and just kind of put it like in the back of my comics closet shelves wall.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And we've seen double page spreads from Perez in every one of these issues. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, Matt, maybe at the end we'll have to go and really compare, but I feel like in true George Perez style, there's more and more characters in each one. Like he just keeps kind of piling more and more people. He's getting there. He's so close.
Anti-Monitor is looming in the background. I love that like you were saying, Joe, like the behold, the first skirmish on the road to Armageddon. Different colors spread out in these explosive balloons. And they're like not balloon letters, but like they have strokes and fills.
They're bursts straight up.
Yeah, they're bursts. Yeah.
So cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
In that bottom right above on the road to Armageddon, there's like a skull of one of the dudes like that's like being cut in half, and it's just kind of like that's very Conan, like just a piece of an enemy flying off like in the melee. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't get any cooler. I mean, I think this is as of all the double page spreads we've seen in this series, this has to be the coolest.
Somebody saw this and said, I'm good. No more of this. Nice try, though, guys.
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably one of those things, too, because, again, you guys speak to this more than I can, actually, but, like, there was nothing like this in Creatures on the Loose, right?
Oh, God, no.
Yeah. So,
well, no, that's not true. I'm sorry. Before it became a Man Wolf title, there was a Lynn Carter character called Thongor.
Right. But in the context of this Man Wolf story.
Not in the Man Wolf story, not at all.
I think it got canceled. They put this in a drawer, and it just never got the shot it deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
it's
such a shame.
Yeah. I don't know.
Why do you think, can you speak to this, Joe or Jacob, how they picked stuff to fill these, when Marvel Premiere was just a way to get rid of inventory stuff? How do they pick what's, like, there's some character, I was looking at what was in here before. It's like Jack of Hearts, there's something called like Thunderball or Cannonball. He had like 4 issues. Who the hell is Cannonball? I don't even know who that is.
Well, I think at this point it was inventory, but it was also finishing up stories, right?
Okay.
I mean, did Iron
Untimely
Fist?
Demise?
Yeah, I think there was. I think
Iron Fist was in Premiere.
Iron Fist was in Premiere early.
Way earlier, yeah.
You got to think of Marvel at the time, though, was like, okay, what do we have? We don't have to invoice anyone out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we don't. They don't have a ton of money. No. So we have these things that are in a drawer.
Yep.
It's already been paid for, or maybe not.
Maybe not.
But we got to print something.
Yeah.
And
you're right, guys. I think between Jack of Hearts and Cannonball, there was like 2 Tigra things. And that makes sense because she was supposed to get giant size creatures or whatever. It was supposed to be her book after. Okay. This is all making sense now.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It's interesting to me too, because not next issue, but the issue after is the introduction of Scott Lang, right? So it's like,
yeah, right.
So that's
weird.
Yeah, it's kind of bananas. Like that took off. I mean, as much as it did, at the time.
Relative.
Although now Scott Lang starred in Marvel movies, so again,
it did take off.
Tim and Feige, if you're listening,
my daughter knows who Scott Lang is. That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we just go to the next page. And this next page, I don't know, it was a little bit of a letdown after the double page spread. I mean, it's an action page. There's cool shit that happens in it. But I guess the layout, just the 6-panel layout, kind of was a slight letdown for me. That was my only kind of just like,
It's a little pedestrian.
It's a tiny bit pedestrian, but the bar has been raised so high after every page. And so, I guess, I can't sustain that forever. But there's great dialogue though. As I think it's Duna who says, "Yes, leap at me, carrion. Come be kissed by my shining hand." And she's smashing some skulls with her awesome grappling hook forearm hand.
Where's her spinoff?
Yeah, no shit, right?
God.
So by the time I got to this page, though, I'm such a mark for this. Like,
I know.
it's like mail. So like you need to do 6-panel, and I like a good grid. So maybe just me, but I don't know, man. Again, I'm just like, this is all awesome. She's cutting fools with her hook hand. This dude's about to chop a skull man in half, and then Lambert
like kindling, right? I mean, right down the middle.
It shatters him, and that's what he says. He's like, "Well done, Duna, but why stop at a head when you can shatter the body beneath?" And he just slices him and just explodes the skeleton. Oh, it's great. But then, he misjudged. He says, it appears I have misjudged my strategic position. And he's falling. It's like, Lambert.
So imagine that in that John Carter movie, right? In 3D, a giant 3-story high screen, Garth smashing something and then like being swarmed in and then grabbing onto a swooping enemy's thing, just like taking off. Like this is so dynamic.
Yeah. And then those last two panels are super badass, where Lambert says, take ease, friend Garth. Your problem is a small one for a wizard, but might I suggest a less dramatic approach next time? So yeah, he has, I mean, that just looks like some kind of straight up Kirby gun.
Yeah, that
or
last
something.
panel
like,
is...
and then, yeah, that last panel of the Zat, just so cool.
Kirby's A-bomb.
Yeah, so awesome.
So is Wilf a term? Because is wizard I'd like to fuck? Like, yeah. Lambert's hot.
It's a term now.
He's a total Wilf.
TM. Yeah.
Look at him. He's commanding. He's got that mustache, that sexy
he is your
Captain
type,
Crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, oops.
Yeah.
All crunch berries. Okay. So, the action continues. We got, again, this is just a bunch of like little glimpses, and it's like the Two Towers, like just a bunch of like cool little scenes of like this struggle going on. And we unfortunately see the end of a character. She's outnumbered and she screams out for the Star God and she says, "Save me." And we get that weird, Jacob, when was the last time we saw that graphic treatment where it looks like alien text exploding out in a starburst?
I mean, it was in Creatures on the Loose. It wasn't that.
Yeah. Was it like Craven?
Long ago. I think it was when, I think it was in the second Craven issue.
Yeah. I love that effect, man. It's so weird. Where it's just like, it doesn't matter. You don't need to corrupt it with letters or with whatever. It's just like this emotional outburst, an explosion that comes out as she screams out to be saved. And then she falls and the man wolf sees that she has fallen and he whips his head around. We get this great close up of him saying, "Sashiel!" And then he just goes into he's John Jameson, but he's kind of unleashed the beast in himself and said, "Murderers!" And he's just smashing these things. "I'll wipe you from the realm forever." Just explosions of these skeletal, weird, reanimated corpses just being smashed to death by him. He's punching the head off of one as he screams at them.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, again, just super badass, and I do love that we got to see him really use his bow and arrow in that first panel too, which I thought was super badass.
Because that would have been egregious if you shove that off in the new look, the catwalk.
And you'd actually use it, you got to use that shit. So next page, the Skull Soldiers. So at this point, I think the Skull Soldiers are kind of getting their asses kicked a little bit. And so one of them says, "Our charge falters. It's time to end this farce. Blast them." And then they come out with just these really badass but weirdly designed guns and just start shooting everybody. It zaps to Bark. It says, "Bark falls, his death as silent as his life." And then Gorjun, super pissed off, says, "You crummy skeletons think you can pick us off that easily? Eat my fire, bone bags." And yeah, Gorjun has always had the best dialogue.
Title, by the way.
My fire bone bags.
So like we lost Sashiel and Bark in the span of 5-6 panels. Like if this had been expanded, imagine how much harder this would have hit if we got to spend time with Sashiel. I'm sure that, there would have been that weird John has feelings for her, but he loves Christine. Like, I mean, like we would have had, this would have been gutting. This would have been like Gwen Stacy level at some point,
There's something gutting about it though, and that they're just gone.
Well, they worship him as a god, and she's calling out to him like, "Please God, help me," and he can't. Like, it is gutting.
They are side characters who've only existed in an issue, so again, fair enough. But for the most part, like I think at this time it would still be kind of startling. Like, oh, these characters are just murdered.
They're just dying.
Characters that have names are dying. That's
dead,
unusual.
And kind of personalities, and
yeah, they're not red shirts.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would be like, whoa, that's.
I was like, whoa, reading this for the first time 2 days ago.
Oh yeah,
yeah. No, it was gutting, so I mean, this panel everyone just gets their asses kicked. So Gorjun says the answering folly is immediate. It says Garjun, but we know it's I know, but we know it's Gorjun's beast dies instantly, and gravity's heavy hand takes over. So Gorjun falls down. The man wolf is thinking, "They keep coming. Already 3 of us have fallen." And then a guy comes up from behind him with a flaming sword and says, "Make that 4." And Man-Wolf gets in the back, starts falling. Dura says, Star God, he's been hurt. And then another amazing panel.
Dude.
One of the Skull Warriors says, your God is dead, woman.
Brad, our friend Brad Elmore would say, this is a Monster Magnet like lyric, right? This is he loves this stuff. Like that's even like, that's beyond Kirby. Like that's just like
that's a blacklight poster, man.
God. That'd be weird for Doctor Strange. Like
your God is dead, woman.
I love it.
And his dead eyes. Like it's just, what a badass panel.
Yeah, that is creepy. There's this kind of like moment where they all kind of give up, where Garth and Lambert and Duna are clearly overwhelmed, and they are held at gunpoint. Which it's kind of weird. The guns come out at the end, and there's kind of like, this is a quick way to end this.
Yeah.
So the creatures say, now Arisen Turk rules the realm. He offers you captivity, unbelievers. Take it, and Garth says, never. And then Lambert says, still your voice, Garth. We must survive and hope. Meanwhile, we see Man-Wolf and Gorjun and his beast plummeting quickly to the earth. And Man-Wolf grabs onto Gorjun and says, Gorjun! He's like, Fang Snout, hang on. I'm trying to steer this clumsy carcass into that lake. Then we'll be safe? Safe? I can't swim. There's still levity at this awful moment. They splash in. They're saying there's this dramatic moment where there's just bubbles. And then finally, Man-Wolf surface holding on to Gorjun. We made it. He's like, speak for yourself. And he's like, shut up. I don't need to drag your carcass and your lungs full of lake water. So he swims him to the shore. And we're wrapping up this first issue here of this new direction. Direction.
It's funny though. You're right, Matt. I mean, there is time for levity. Suddenly, just for 7 or 8 panels, it's kind of Beverly Hills Cop. I mean, there's they're the duo. They have some banter. And so on the next page, Gorjun says, "If you weren't my god, I'd never stand for that crack. By the way, that fur of yours stinks something awful when it gets wet." And then Man-Wolf's like, "You're telling me?" So they suddenly they're in a buddy comedy right now.
I love that. It's like, you think I don't know?
Yeah, it's really good.
It works really well.
It does.
It sets you up, because the next thing you see is the dead body of their compatriot.
I know.
And so
right?
you're just kind of joking around, and then you see this.
Yeah.
Again,
it's an emotional whiplash, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so gruesome we can't even see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're walking around, bantering back and forth, and Man-Wolf says, "Look, Gore, it's Sashil." It says in very small letters, and then you can't even. It's not even fully shown. It's so gruesome. It says silence, and her words ringing in his memory. He does not strike me as a god. And
that's gutting, man.
Oh, it's just brutal.
Can you imagine that weight?
Yeah. But then, I mean, we get this turn for John. He says, "She was right. I'm no god. In my world, I was a threat to people because I was mindless, out of control. And here I'm dangerous because they trust me." And Gorjun says, "We pushed you into it. It ain't your fault." And so Man-Wolf at this point sees a sword in a tree, and he says, "Isn't it? The sword, waiting there like a sign." Goes and pulls it out of the tree, and the narration says, "Gorjun wonders at the savior of his, who denies godhood, but can pluck a sword from the heart of a tree without strain." So, I mean, as we've kind of broken down this issue, to me, the storytelling just gets better and better the more I think about it. The pacing of every page, of every panel, the way that this is laid out, it's kind of perfect.
It's a really well constructed single issue.
It is.
I think it is
just
too.
Yeah.
And it's cooked down to Rue. Like this could have been 3 or 4 issues, but he couldn't. Which is weird, because that's actually not true. Because as far as we know, I mean, he wrote that letter. This is what I don't understand, Jacob. Like, he wrote that letter.
I know.
For Creatures on the Loose 37, saying this is where this would have gone. So how do these exist? I don't understand.
So I really tried to look, and if anyone listening can help me with this historically, because like you were saying, Matt, with the letter that he wrote, I don't know if these were inventory that were done, like by the time Creatures on the Loose 37 was out. Like, I don't know if it was. It feels like these were done at some point afterward.
Yeah,
I think they were.
I bet they were. No, I bet they were. Because I mean, like there was a lot of inventory stuff, especially in Marvel Premiere. But there was I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier. There was a lot of like, oh, that was that loose end. We should wrap that up. You know, like there was an issue of there were issues of Marvel Team Up like that, where it was like, oh, Steve Englehart, you had that through line with this character. I mean, I don't even know if it was directed at as much as it was Steve Englehart just being like, I just want to wrap up this thing at Marvel Team Up or whatever it was. You know, or like the Warlock comics had that too, where it would like bounce around. Like it'd be like one story, but told throughout like 5 different books, you know?
Right.
Because my impression after reading this, and I actually was able to score a copy of 46, was he was told like, look, you have 2 issues to wrap this up.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
That's the impression I have as well.
This doesn't feel like he has a 20-issue arc plotted out, and these are just the first 2 issues of it. I mean, this really feels like he was given. They're like,
he was
okay, Kraft.
told.
Well, I think he probably had a 20-issue thing plotted out.
He absolutely did.
And was told, you get 2.
Yeah, you get 2.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is like, I think he was like, how do I reduce this to the broadest strokes? And it's still really effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that has to be it. Just from reading it, from breaking it down with you guys like this. Yeah, this was not quote unquote inventory. This was him being given a constraint of 2 issues and being like, dude, finish your dream. Like, you got 2 issues.
Yeah, that's frustrating. So I have a double Hawkwind album, but I have 1 7-inch to do it.
Exactly.
That's right.
So after he plucks this sword from the tree that fell in there while they were, when it fell from the skies, much like, Arthurian, whatever, we get this beautiful last page here.
Oh my God.
With this striking red field and a yellow like moon, which is much like the background for the Werewolf by Night logo, our art for our show. And he has pulled the sword out, and he has a message. After seeing Seshiel, after receiving this drubbing, he says, "Hear me, Arisen Turk. In the name of my comrades Seshiel and Bark, I swear vengeance. From this moment on, the man-wolf is out for your stinking blood." And this is just him holding up the Star God's sword at us, the viewer, with the shadow of the blade falling over his face as he's growling and the gemstone is glowing. And it says, the final fatal conclusion of the Man-Wolf saga, Star God. Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I haven't wanted this page of original art in so long.
I know.
As much as I want
my God.
Because this is lettered on board, right? So it would be everything except for colored.
Yep, I would wade through a bunch of kittens and babies to get this original art.
Yeah, God, it would be so good. What an amazing page to end this issue on. Like, fuck. It's so funny, Matt, after, I don't know how many episodes, it's like 70 episodes or something we're at now. I feel like this is what we've been working towards. Just to do this issue, to have this issue to talk about. It's a peak for us, my friend.
Yeah. This is peanut butter and chocolate for me. I guess we're doing final thoughts right now.
Yep.
I love Conan. I love sword and sorcery stuff. And I love monsters. And so you put these 2 things together. I love every goddamn thing about this. I can't say enough good stuff about it. I just wish, again, it had been 2 years, not 2 issues. Joe, what do you think? What are your final thoughts here? You should have gone first. I'm sorry to step on your duties.
I'm left breathless. Anyway, it's such a great comic book. Like one of my favorite things about doing podcasts like this are spotlighting things that may have otherwise just been totally forgotten. And to give any sort of level of spotlight to this is such a huge pleasure. The work of Kraft and Perez and everyone else involved. It's one of those things that I just don't. We know. I'm obsessed with this stuff, and I've never read this before.
Yep, I know.
And so to be able to check it out and just be so blown away by it. And spoilers for next episode, but I'll tell you now, my opinion of 46 is that it keeps on trucking. It's awesome the whole way through.
I have not read it yet.
So
yeah, we try to not read ahead. So we have our reactions being very fresh, but it was hard. It was really hard not to read ahead on this one. But so Matt, this recent, like the Man Wolf collection that you're reading now is pretty recent.
2019.
And I honestly wonder if Marvel Premiere 45 and 46 has ever been in a collected edition.
Oh, I don't think so.
I wouldn't think it would be. So I would think that these issues, I mean, what would it have been in? So, I mean, the only way to read these issues would be to get the original ones.
There were some masterworks of Premiere and Spotlight, but I doubt they got this far because, like we said, this was a dumping ground. So, they would not have done masterworks for any this deep in the series.
Yeah, I think they did the masterworks for the Iron Fist stuff for sure.
I don't think it was like consecutive stuff. I think it was just like select stuff.
So honestly, I mean, this stuff hasn't been widely available until just the last few years with the Man Wolf collection that you have and with Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah.
So really, this really is kind of a hidden gem that you wouldn't know about, and that the three of us didn't know about. And I think we're all fairly comic obsessed and pretty knowledgeable about the 70s stuff. So yeah, just the fact that this is a blind spot for us means that this is hidden pretty deeply, and that's sad because it's so amazing.
And you know what? Just as a general PSA, there's so much stuff like that. We talked about Marvel by the Month earlier. We talked about an issue of Captain Savage, which is like the Pacific Theater of the World War II, and it was one of the most gutting. I think Gary Frederick wrote it. I'm blanking on who drew it, but it was amazing. And I don't know that there is any way to get it besides, frankly, either get pirating it or get the single issue. You know, there's so much stuff like that.
Yeah, that was the episode where you guys, I think actually, it was because you normally, Marvel by the Month just does stuff that's on Marvel Unlimited or available to people. But I think that was the issue or the episode where you guys did stuff that was not available.
Yeah. And it's too bad because, again, I have no idea. I'm assuming if it's in a collection from 2019, it probably is on Marvel Unlimited. But, I mean, there's so much stuff like this. I mean, I don't know that it's like this, you know, but in terms of amazing work that people otherwise just don't normally see just because it hasn't been in print or whatever.
I agree 100%. I bought Werewolf by Night number 37, and then I was obsessed with it at 11 years old, and then I bought Werewolf by Night number 1. I saved up $12 and got it at the comic shop in 1989. And I was like, what is up with all this 70s monster stuff? And I grabbed Dead of Night. I think that had a Scarecrow in it.
Oh, sure.
And a couple other things like that. And I was just Wood God. Remember Wood God? That satyr? Oh, yeah. I was just like, there's all these things out here that are just lost, that never went anywhere, and were super interesting and gorgeous art. And they're just kind of until they get collected and stuff, they're forgotten. So I'm glad this is around now. Yeah. And I would love for, I don't think everything has to go into movies or TV, but I wouldn't mind seeing something like this and, fix that John Carter mistake, Disney Plus, with your Marvel stuff. Let's do it. Let's do the Untold Tales of Star God.
You know what I'll even take? If not that, just more swinging at the fences like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's enough, like I was joking earlier about, maybe do a Marvel Phase 11 with this or whatever. But I don't necessarily need to see people's version of Kraft and Perez's Man Wolf. But if you get your shot at a Man Wolf, then take it in some crazy ass direction like this, Yeah. We keep mentioning Walt Simonson's Thor, but it's such a great example of there's a horse dude now who has the hammer. I don't need to see the 18th version of someone just doing that story again.
Right.
So, anyway, my point is I love this comic so much, and it's such a pleasure to read it.
Oh, I'm so glad you were here to read it with us. Yeah, we knew this would be a big one, and I'm glad you agreed to be on this episode with us and talk about it. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you for having me.
Definitely, yeah. Any final thoughts from anybody before we wrap up?
No, I can't wait for 46.
Is that just you and me?
I think it's just you and me, my friend. We'll end it out.
Right on. Cool. Well, Joe, it was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for being on. I can't imagine a better guest for this particular issue.
It's perfect.
It was a great pairing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So here's where we do our shout outs to our Pack brothers and sisters that support us on Patreon. We have Michael G, Tim Tucker, Brian from Marvel by the Month. Thanks, Brian.
Hey.
Yeah. Josh Link, Jeff Fitzpatrick, Caleb, Ben M, Michelle from Moonlit Comics, Mark Nivens, Rob Haferman, Russ from Tomes of Evil, Eric Hadley, Brad Elmore, Johnny Turner, Ryan from Across the Bifrost, and Jackson T. Overstreet, and lastly, Tony Iupi. Thank you guys all for supporting us so much, and we've got some cool stuff coming out for you, exclusives just for you Patreon folks that we've been sitting on for a while that's coming your way. So thank you for doing that. If you want to check out how to support that, we do a weekly bonus show, and you can find us at Werewolf by Night or Patreon. What is it again? Patreon.com/Werewolf by Night podcast.
That's right.
It's been a while. It feels like we haven't done an episode in 100 years.
We just took 1 week off.
One week off, and I completely lose all my mojo.
Oh, I know. No, it's ridiculous.
Oy.
Yeah. And if you don't go on Patreon, you can always contact us, Werewolf by Night podcast at Gmail. We're also on Instagram and Twitter. On Twitter, we're Werewolf Podcast. And we always look for more 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. And if you take a screenshot of that, send it to us. I will send you a set of buttons made from real Werewolf by Night comics. I love to get really low-grade comics and destroy them and make buttons out of them. It's one of my favorite things to do on Earth.
I thought for a second you were saying from real werewolves, and I was like, no.
Yeah, I've leveled up, Matt. Yeah.
That's wrong.
No, that is wrong.
So, Joe, do you have like a Substack or anything like that?
No, I kind of abandoned the internet there for a minute.
Smart.
But I am back on Instagram, which is just at Joe Keatinge. I would just go over there.
And anything you want to that you're working on that you want to share or plug, or you seem like a pretty subdued dude.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I would just go to there. I've been in video game land for a long time. A lot of the stuff is not. I'm working in video game land. That is, so a lot of the stuff is not out yet. But just
cool.
Follow on Instagram.
So you're writing stuff for video games?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's exciting.
I've been for a few years now. Yeah.
Okay. Anything that I would know? I'm kind of a new returning video gamer.
Not a lot of stuff that I can. No, I can't. No.
You can't talk about it yet.
No.
Totally get it. When you can talk about it, will you talk about it?
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on, and I highly encourage everybody to check out Joe's work. He's a brilliant writer. So it was so fun having you on and having your perspective on this.
Oh, it's been a blast, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right. Well, folks, there will be the bonus episode for you, but otherwise, we will talk to you next week. Till we meet again beneath the full moon, furry ones, here's Howlin' at ya.